Now we fire the engines for drag racing with the Gateway Nationals from Missouri.
The International Hot Rod Association has come to the banks of the mighty Mississippi at mid-season, and things are midsummer hot. At the Spring Nationals, Pro Stock title contender Ricky Smith was outgunned at the start by Harold Denton's near-perfect reactions. Smith argued to officials that Denton had jumped the start, but the five-time world champion went home. Denton went on to win. Scotty Cannon leads the way in the Pro Modified division, but 7 other hot shoes have drawn a bead on him for the championship. The stretch run begins today in the Gateway City. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. For more than 2 centuries, Old Man River, the mighty Mississippi, has flowed under the bridges and past the docks of St. Louis, home of riverboats, the Gateway Arch, and the distinctly American music known as the blues. Across the river in Granite City, Illinois, lies Gateway International Raceway, site of the IHRA Tosti, Asti, Spumati, Gateway Nitrous Nationals. There you see the beautiful Corvette of Ken Karsten from right here in St. Louis, Missouri. He really has his hands full up against Wally Stroop from Kings Mountain, North Carolina, winner of the Darlington, South Carolina Winter Nationals, and one of the quickest and fastest cars in the class.
Well, the Stroop and Lawson ATEX sponsor Beretta started the year out plenty hot. They won the season opening Winter Nationals down at Darlington International Dragway. Then they came into this event and qualified #1. So they have to be the favorite in this matchup, Bob.
Saw Karsten's car there venting some excess nitrous oxide, purging the system to make sure he gets a good squirt into those cylinders, boosting the horsepower by a significant amount. Stroop on the left, Karsten on the right. They are away. Good start for Karsten, who lifts the wheels in the right lane. They are side by side at half track. Karsten comes through with a big upset.
Wow, what a race. Karsten 7:16 to take that victory at 198. We've got to look one more time at the frame by frame down at the finish line. Look how close this was. You're talking an inch.
Absolutely amazing. And now we move on to the father of this class, Bill Kuhlman from Wentzville, Missouri. We talked about him earlier, the original 200-mile-an-hour man. He is up against Donnie Little from Mount Home, Arkansas, making his first IHRA appearance this year.
Well, this is the first time we've seen the Camaro of Donnie Little, who doesn't run IHRA regularly, and he's out on Kuhlman.
And we have another upset. Little wins. Look at the reaction time. 1/100th of a second. Great run for Donnie Little. Let's take another look.
Well, couple that with a 7:05 ET, and Kuhlman really didn't have a chance. He was never in this thing.
In the right lane, Little, who came out late after Kuhlman, lifts the front wheels a couple of times and runs away.
I'll tell you what, regardless of the white spots all over the place, this thing still puts down the power. 7:05 takes care of Kuhlman, 7:20, and I should point out you only ran 189.
Yeah, we had to raise the front ends here this weekend, Brett, and it's cut the mile an hour a little bit, but that's probably the best run I've had. It ran real good. We got some power to the ground in. I didn't shake any, and that was a good pass.
Put the front end up, is it a little spookier to handle down at the finish line?
Well, you know, actually here it's helping us down in the shutdown area a little bit, but it's pushing the car up and going down the track a little bit, so it's unloading the tires a little bit. But that's a good time here. I'm happy with that.
Everybody's improving too. I think you can go quicker.
Yeah, the air's a little better. I think that you're going to see some. You might see 7.0. We might see a high 6 here. Just see if we can hook up the track or not.
There's never been one here before. The track record's still a flat. Maybe you'll be it.
I hope so. Thank you.
Well, with all due respect to Donnie Little, I think this might be the guy to give us that high 6 if it's going to happen. From Lyman, South Carolina, the hottest car in the class, the amazing 1940 Chevrolet of Scotty Cannon. Only the number 3 qualifier here, though, which is a little unusual. He will be up against this man, Blake Wiggins from Monroe, North Carolina.
Well, talk about unusual, Bob. In that 91 Pontiac, Blake is running a 700 cubic inch Ford.
Who said the parts numbers have to all match? Great lead for Blake Wiggins in the near lane, but then he gets sideways. He has to shut it down. Cannon keeps his foot in it all the way down.
Cannon, there's the 6. A 698, 192 miles per hour. You were right, Bob.
I do know my drag racing. Look, in the left lane there, Blake Wiggins just gets sideways. He had to shut the car down to regain control. But Scotty Cannon reigns supreme with the first sub-7 on the racetrack. Brett is at the far end of the track to tell him about it.
Got to be happy with that one. First man ever in the sixes down this racetrack.
We know we had it in it, but the track's been giving up. The track's coming around. I believe the sun's going to give us a break.
Now tell me about the 192 mile an hour speed.
Well, we got the flap on it. This track's a little bumpy. If you get in that right lane, you need it. If you get in the left, you get in the left, you don't. Let's see. A little confused.
Did you have tire shake on that run?
Very little. Yeah, brain damage. You get in the left, you don't need it. If you get in the right, you never notice it. I just leave it on if I'm got a question in my mind.
Now you've got a solid 700s advantage. Can you step it up, or are you on the line right now?
Well, we broke a tranny. We got fluid boiling out the front right when we went through the tracks. I kind of bogged the motor. I hope it's just a tranny, because who knows? We'll have to check it out.
We'll be visiting you in the pits then.
Dad.
Well, there's the secret of putting your man in the other lane if you have lane choice, which Ed Hoover does in his semifinal matchup with Ken Carson. Scotty Cannon will have lane choice and can put Donnie Little in whichever lane he wants. All right, thank you, Brett. With that, we move on now to semifinal action in pro stock. And our first matchup will be this man, Billy Ewing, with a dominating run in that Oldsmobile in the first round. He will be going up against the sensation of the meet thus far, Floyd Cheek, in that big 715 cubic inch Ford.
Well, you may see Billy take a shot on the tree against Floyd Cheek, because turning in a 718 has all the guys buzzing, and Billy knows he can do it. Let's see if he tries it. No, he doesn't. An honest start.
And Billy got a little bit sideways. Cheek has him by a car length, and it looks like he'll hold it to the end.
Floyd Cheek pulls it out with a 720, 192 miles per hour, and a 0.6 reaction. We'll take one more look at it. Ewing was a little crooked there, had to correct before he got to the 8th mile, and that's all Cheek needed. He stayed straight and true all the way down to the finish line, opened him up by at least 2 car lengths.
You know, when Billy Ewing got out of the car after the first round, he said, there's no way we can beat that Ford. He said, there's no way we can come near it. He was in the 30s again, 720.
All right, very good. That's a great run.
What in the world did you guys find?
Well, we just got it. The clutch is right, and, you know, the motor's right. Everything just tuned just perfect.
I want to ask you, in this sport, there are guys who specialize in clutches, who specialize in motors and all that stuff. Are you guys dealing with somebody who's helping you out, or did you stumble on this yourself?
No, we do our own clutch work, and it's just trial and error. We've learned, you know, we started last year, and we learned, you know, what we could last year, and we've improved it this year, and we think we know where we're at now. And just hanging in there.
First final round in pro stock, and it's going to be against one of the 2 best guys out there, and both of them said that they were worried.
Well, it'll be a good run when we get there. I'll be trying.
All right, now let's see who he will try against. Here comes Harold Denton in the fastest car in the class, up against Ricky Smith, traditionally one of the best starters in all of drag racing. And that led to a little bit of a controversy. If you were with us for our most recent event, the Spring Nationals at Bristol, Tennessee, where Denton in the right lane laid a tree on Tricky Ricky, 4 1/1000ths of a second of reaction time, held it all the way to the finish, and eventually went on to win the race. And that made Ricky very unhappy.
Well, as a matter of fact, Harold later admitted that he took a shot on the tree. It's the only way he could have cut a 0.004 reaction time. But it's one of those things that happens in drag racing.
Absolutely. Ricky lost his argument with the officials. Now here is Harold Denton, who's going to see if he can do it again against the master, the 5-time IHRA Pro Stock World Champion, Tricky Ricky Smith.
I don't think Harold will try it again. It's hard to do it 2 times in a row, Bob. It just would not be good odds.
Now Ricky with a great start in the right lane. Harold Denton in that bumpy lane is going to have to try to make up time, and I don't think he can do it.
Ricky Smith pulls it out. He cuts a 0.4 reaction, couples it with a 726, 183 miles per hour. Ricky's into the finals.
We're seeing a lot of victories in that left lane. The right lane, as we look at it right now, it wins here for Ricky Smith, and Brett is with him.
Oh, no, you know that the elapsed time for the winner, but what you don't know is that Harold Denton gave you a race, 729 loser, but payback for Bristol is probably a little morale boost for you.
Yeah, you know, Brett, he took a shot at me at Bristol, and he got away with it, but, you know, I learned him a little lesson here. You know, I can play his game too, and, you know, we're running good. I hope we can win this thing. That Ford run good. We slipped the clutch pretty bad, but main thing was I done what I wanted to do here today, you know, improve that deal at Bristol, because I had that race, you know. I ain't saying I had it won, but I was running good, and he put a little shot on me there, and I don't appreciate it, but, you know, it's payback day, and it's my day today.
Well, like so many men before him, Harold Denton learns what happens when you annoy Ricky Smith. He will give up lane choice to Floyd Cheek, however, and that should be a great Pro Stock final. We've got all kinds of great matchups coming your way. We are now in alcohol funny cars, where we're ready for the semifinals. You saw Al DePazzo He will go up against Tim Wilkerson. DePazzo from Northbrook, Illinois. Wilkerson out of Springfield, Illinois.
Well, this should be a great matchup going into the semifinals right here, Bob. DePazzo has to be the favorite to win. Doesn't run the IHRA trail on a regular basis, but has a strong reputation coming into this event.
Now we've got an interesting situation here. DePazzo had lane choice, but he has chosen the right lane, the very bumpy lane. There you see Wilkerson's car in what has been the quicker and smoother left lane. DePazzo either has a secret or may have made a big strategic error right here. Good start for both cars, both of them getting a little bit light, and DePazzo drives around Wilkerson to win.
Boy, a dancing contest. Look at the ET on that, a 619, 225 miles per hour. Well, DePazzo knew what he was doing getting in that other lane. Watch Wilkerson all over the track, gets over close to that center line, almost crosses the center line. DePazzo, easy win.
I'll tell you what, you're going to face the winner of a pretty tough battle coming up here, but a teen with that kind of driving all over the track, you got to figure this car can go even quicker.
I think this car, today, if I could keep it in the groove, it'd probably run a 14 or 15 right in there.
Well, you've taped up your mouth and your nose in the car. Maybe it's time to narrow down the eyesight a little.
Well, I'm going to put some curb peelers on it, actually.
See you next round.
Al DePazzo may need them the next time around if he stays in that right lane. There you see Mark Thomas, the defending world champion, who gave up lane choice to Mark White for this semifinal round in Alcohol Funny Cars. And interestingly, White has chosen, like DePazzo, to run that right lane. These guys must be seeing something that's not obvious to us here in the booth.
Well, Mark White turned in that incredible 618 the last time down the track. That's low ET of the event thus far.
There you see the world champion hard at work. Setting the line brake. Down comes the visors. White in the near lane will have the bumpier ride, but it appears as though it is faster if you can get enough downforce into the car. And if you have the horsepower to make it work, White with a beautiful start drives away from the world champion.
White pulls it out with a 630, really slowed down, 225 miles per hour. I think he may have lifted just a little bit early. Let's take one more look at it again. Look at White leave. Oh, what a hole shot over Mark Thomas. White now in mid-course. Thomas comes up beside him, down at the top end. It'll be just about one car length.
Tell you what, in the first round you proved that the car could make power. You proved that in qualifying too. This time you proved that you're a driver. You ran 630. Mark Thomas lost with a 622.
Ooh, it shook big time. We got greedy trying to make it go faster, and ain't gonna happen this right now anyway.
It won you the race, but it lost you lane choice. You saw DePazzo go 619.
Go 19. He's flying, but it shook hard. Al's been beating up on me the past two races, so we gotta find a way to get around him.
This is quite the rivalry, I should point out. You two match race together, run quite a bit in the Midwest. This is the first time you've ever raced at an IHRA national event.
It's the first time in an IHRA race. We've raced twice so far this year, and now it's my turn.
Well, he's got the big sponsorship. You guys are the independents.
Well, we'll take whatever money we got, shovel it into this thing, and let the clutch out and see what happens.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
Well, now we'll learn just how important lane choice is. Al DePazzo will have lane choice versus Mark White. It'll be interesting to see which lane he takes. We've got all kinds of great finals coming your way when we return to Gateway International Raceway and the Tosti Asti Spumani Gateway Nitrous Nationals.
Drag racing is brought to you by Santa Pond Raceway.
It laughs in the face of spots and spanks the bottom of pimples.
Drag racing is brought to you by Santa Pond Raceway.
While we await that matchup, we'll move on to semifinal action in Pro Modified. You will have Ken Karsten in that beautiful Corvette that upset Wally Stroop in the previous round against this man, Ed Hoover, running out of Columbia, South Carolina.
Karsten from right here in St. Louis, Missouri, though. He'd like nothing better than to strap one on Hoover in front of the hometown crowd.
It's an all-Chevy matchup, Corvette against Camaro. Although in Pro Modified, as we all know, anything goes. These body shapes are absolutely wild. Although these two are really actually a little bit conservative, not like the incredible nostalgic car bodies that we've seen. Big rear wings on both cars.
Both cars taking their time staging, Bob. A little bit of mind games going on here.
Hoover the last to stage. Good start for both drivers. Both guys lift the front end. Hoover with about a half a car advantage. Let's see if he can hold it to the the finish, and he does.
Yes, Hoover 7.27, 192 miles per hour with a 15 reaction time. Look one more time at it. Watch. Out first is Karsten. Hoover right beside him, though, carrying the wheels. They come down, even a little puff of smoke as those tires kiss down on the asphalt. Now, here comes Hoover down on top end. We'll look at the frame by frame at the finish line. Hoover by less than an inch.
A little bit of a war up there, huh?
A little bit of war, but it was close. It couldn't have been but inches. I thought he had me. My clutch, I mean, I changed gears. It never changed tone. It slipped the whole way from one end to the other. The track must be getting better, but I was pedaling as hard as I could.
Working that throttle to try to get to the other end. Now we'll see who Ed Hoover will meet in the finals of Pro Mod. There is Scotty Cannon, who has already turned in a 6.981 second run, up against this guy, Donnie Little, who comes into this race from Mount Home, Arkansas, and Brett called them white spots. You can see the hood and the door. Replacement parts that have kind of moved aside any sponsorship Donnie might have brought.
Well, the OnSat car ready to go, capably tuned by Mr. Chevrolet Gene Fulton. Let's see if it has another 6-second run in it.
Boy, Little is giving it to him, but Cannon pulls away to win by a car length.
There it is, Scotty Cannon, 6.98, 196 miles per hour. He's right on. Watch him now as they come down. You'll see Cannon as he shifts into third gear. Look at that car pull away. An easy car length victory down at top end.
And so our Pro Modified final will be Scotty Cannon, who will have lane choice over Ed Hoover. Brett Kepner is in Ed Hoover's pits right now.
As Ed Hoover readies for an all-South Carolina final round, obviously he looks tired, and for good reason. In a matter of minutes, she's managed to switch all pressure plates and clutch discs, and here's why. This is what last round's clutch looked like. Blue, burnt to a crisp. Now you're talking about pure friction that is creating the heat that burns these clutches up and scours the face right off of the pressure plates and the discs themselves. But right now, it took an entirely new combination to get this car ready for the 6-second challenge of Scotty Cannon.
Well, that story remains to be played out. We first have pro stock action. There is Floyd Cheek out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. The little engine that could, the Chattanooga Choo-Choo. He has been absolutely destroying the field, running a 7:18 in the first round. Now there you see Ricky Smith, holder of the IHRA ET world record at 7:08 seconds. But thus far, Ricky has had to play catch-up to Cheek. This should be a very interesting final.
Well, Cheek needs to keep in mind that they call him Tricky Ricky Smith. He has years of experience. Ricky is apt to do anything here. Cheek definitely has him covered, but that doesn't mean he has the race won.
It is not all machinery and equipment. There is so much that the driver can inject into a race. There are the hands and feet of Floyd Cheek at work.
Well, Ricky's been in this position so many times before, he has to be very cool-headed.
Cheek chose that right-hand lane. Ricky with a great start. Cheek gets out of shape, crosses the center line, and will be disqualified.
Ricky Smith pulls it out, a 7:22, 189 miles per hour, but the reaction time, a 0:1 for Ricky Smith. Floyd Cheek comes off that concrete pad, gets completely out of shape, has to come over in Ricky's lane. A very dangerous situation.
What happened?
Bad tire shake. Bad.
Man, I mean, you came over darn close to Richard in that lane.
Well, I wasn't that close to him, but I saw him.
You've done a good job this weekend.
Yeah.
Done a good job.
Thank you.
This STP Pontiac's just been unreal, you know. I mean, hey, we stepped it up today, you know, over yesterday, and I told you when I had to put a little clutch in, we put it in, and it run good, you know, 22. I guess that ain't bad, you know. We're glad to pull it off, Brett.
But you got to admit, this is one of the first times in many, many, many years that we had somebody really shake up the troops like Floyd Cheek did.
Oh, he's done an excellent job this weekend. That guy is, you know, and it's not going to be just this weekend. They got their act together, and they're going to be a contender the rest of the year.
Speaking of contenders, that's a big win for Ricky Smith. The two men ahead of him in points, Terry Adams and Doug Kirk, both went out in the first round. We move on to alcohol funny cars after a big smoky burnout. This man, Mark White, like Floyd Cheek, putting down career best times this weekend. He's the man everybody's going to watch, but he's going to have to overcome that left lane. Al DePazza had lane choice and chose to take the right lane, which all the drivers say is bumpier, but seems to be giving better grip today.
This is a great final. Mark White turned in that 6:18 in the first round, but DePazzo in the most previous round turned in a 6:19. Now the question is, can DePazzo stay down in that team?
It's not only a matter of mechanical setup, it's also a matter of aerodynamics, whether they have clutch and suspension and bodywork and rear wing and so forth, all adjusted to achieve that perfect balance between horsepower and aerodynamics. Up come the revs. In the traditional style of alcohol funny cars as they creep into the second set of lights, they are staged. Good even start for both cars. White driving through some tire shake there, and he will take the victory.
Mark White pulls it out. Look at that, a 6:15, 228 miles per hour. He pulled it out when he had to have it. Down to the finish line, easy, not even close.
You are both driving fools. How about this? Not only another pair of track records, but the quickest run we've ever had between two funny cars on alcohol in this particular track's history. 6:15, 228. Your clutch magic worked.
I talked to Timmy Hyatt. Timmy Hyatt said I'd do this. I did it, and it worked.
DeBozo won a 21, but you had 500s in the bank off the line.
Well, I knew that after the last pass, that's all we had was take a chance and go for it up there and try to leave on him.
I got to tell you, you were both all over. I'm inclined to believe it probably would have been a 10 if it was straight.
It was shaking pretty hard again still, but Lou and Larry, I mean, they poured the money into this thing. All I do is step on the pedals and push buttons.
And a new superstar in alcohol funny cars is born, modest Mark White. We move on now to another great final. There is Scotty Cannon from Lyman, South Carolina. His opponent from Columbia, South Carolina, Ed Hoover.
Well, Hoover really has his hands full because this man, Scotty Cannon, has been running like a bracket racer. He ran a 698 at 192, another 698 at 196. What's he going to do in the final? Meanwhile, Hoover has to be plenty worried. The best time he's had all day is a 7:04. He followed that with a 7:06, then slowed to a 7:05.
So Ed Hoover is a couple of hundredths of a second shy of Scotty Cannon. Cannon with lane choice also chose that far lane. So evidently the left lane is where you want to be today.
Cannon won both Top Sportsman and the Top Sportsman Quick 8 here at Gateway in 1989.
So he really loves this racetrack. Good start for both cars. They are side by side now. Cannon with the gear shift pulls out a big lead. I think Ed Hoover had a problem.
Well, Hoover had a problem, but there's the number, 698, a bracket racer, 191 mile per hour. This guy thinks he's back running in Top Sportsman again.
I like seeing you now.
Well, at least somebody does. I got to tell you, this is not only a big win, this is a big jump in the point standings, too. Third consecutive 698. Speed was still way down, 192, I think.
Well, I got the wing on the back of it, trying to keep down the track, but I believe we got it right on the money here.
It looked like Hoover was right with you for a while, but it sounded like he had problems just before the finish line.
Yeah, we was neck and neck, and I was waiting to get in that other system, but this track don't like two systems leaving, so I waited, and it's paid off every time. I'd like to thank my sponsor, my dad, my wife, my kids, everybody that makes this thing happen. If I left anybody out, I'm sorry. Gene Fulton, baddest engine builder there is.
I'll tell you, with Stroop going out early, this is a big boost. Congratulations.
Yeah, I hate to see anybody go out, but when you're racing, you do. I mean, he would do the same to me, but, you know, it's racing. But the racing's over, we got to go home and enjoy ourselves now. Thank you.
All right, congratulations to Scotty Cannon. We're going to see a big impact on the points based on today's performances. We'll be back in a moment to sum them up. The sun is going down across the Mississippi in the western United States as we prepare to say so long from Gateway International Raceway and the Gateway Nitrous Nationals. Ted, let's take a look at the points.
Well, as you said earlier, the points have changed. Scotty Cannon off to a commanding lead over Wally Stroop down in second. Randy Moore is in third. Meanwhile, in alcohol funny cars, the Canadian Dobbs on top, and Mark Thomas close after him in a hot second place. And in pro stock, Ricky Smith with the win today moves on top, dropping Adams and Kirk to second and third, respectively.
We'll leave you with a look at one of the great features of every IHRA stop, the Soft Seal Custom Car Show. I'm Bob Varsha for Brett Kepner and Ted Jones. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you from Leicester, New York. So long for now from Gateway International Raceway in Illinois.